30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a beautiful Thursday in Nashville, Tennessee. We are at the grand opening of X Golf. And up until 10 o'clock tonight, there'll be a lot of people coming through here and testing out this beautiful new facility. Behind me is St. Andrews. And I have reason to believe that they have thrown me off that course. This may have been so bad that we've got a new tea party going. It was bad, but it was not unexpected. We're going to have some fun today. We're actually going to try some simulation back there and see how all this plays out. I wish Kelly were here. He, of course, is vacationing in Florida. Let's bring him up. Kelly, how are you?
I'm doing good, George. I was just witnessing your swing, and it's gotten no better since the last time we played, which was years and years ago. It's not Charles Barkley, but it's running a close second.
Yeah, it's got some work.
There's no power or pop anymore, dude. Like, what's going on, man? You don't get in the weight room anymore? I mean, when you're hitting a driver 110 yards, I mean, good gracious.
Yeah, there's some room for improvement. It's always good to have your smiling face. To what do we owe a collared shirt?
I mean, I normally have a collared shirt. I just didn't yesterday.
Kelly.
What?
Hold on a second. Billy.
That is the biggest load of
bunch
bull.
of load. Yeah, I mean.
I had one on Tuesday.
You did have one on Tuesday. Before that.
I had one on Thursday the week before.
The last time you had one on was the Peloponnesian War. Okay. If it wasn't that, it was the winter solstice.
Hey, the shirts that I wear though,
are
really nice that don't have collars on them. Okay, they're brand name. Okay.
What do you mean exactly? What brand?
They're Joseph A. Bank. They're Lululemon. They're things like that.
Okay. Good.
Okay. So don't hate,
Billy,
George.
Excuse me.
I said don't hate.
Oh, I think. When you say that it's, not Barkley, but it's pretty close, I mean, there's a little hate there.
No, there was no hate. That's just that's constructive criticism that it shows you that maybe you don't need to do this anymore.
No, I think that there's some truth to that. Billy, I hope to goodness you have an update.
I do, George. Mm-hmm. Are we ready for the update today?
I think St. Andrews is
that is way too close.
I can't wait for the update. I've been waiting for the update for the last 2 days because we have a significant thing that happened at the Indy 500.
Oh, Joseph Newgarden.
Yeah, I mean he's an Hendersonville guy.
Yeah. So Newgarden wins the Daytona, the Indy 500, not Daytona.
That's the one in Indianapolis, Billy.
Yes.
Yeah, he got the milk. He got the milk poured over his head. He got the.
Oh yeah.
He got the big. He got the big wreath around his neck. He was rolling.
Yeah, he was excited. That was nice for those fans there. NBA Finals starts tonight. Game 1, Heat at Denver. Heat made their first NBA Finals appearance back in 2006. They've been back 6 times since then. Those 7 Finals appearances are the most in the NBA during that span. And the Nuggets are trying to win their first.
Oh, wow.
And for all the tea in China, I want to tell you that Denver is going to win this series. But you know what? I don't know anymore. Miami, there is something about this team and something about Jimmy Butler that they don't ever die. They're hanging around.
Yeah, Eric Spoelstra is really good too. When you're taking a team as many times to the NBA Finals as he has, as Billy just alluded to, I mean, and they hadn't had big names. I mean, obviously LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and all those guys were there that that won 2 championships. But like the teams that he's taken now, I mean, that's saying something coaching wise.
He can do it. He is one of the 2 or 3 best. Pat Riley knew what he was doing when he installed Eric Spoelstra.
Yep.
I think that he has lived up to every accolade and then some.
Yep.
Now, you're about to give me a story that boggles my mind.
Yeah, the Monty Williams story. Yesterday, Adrian Wojnarowski reported that Monty Williams and the Detroit Pistons have agreed on a 6-year, $78.5 million deal to make him their new head coach. It's the largest coaching deal in NBA history.
Okay, stop there. Absurd. Okay. Now, what it tells me is that Detroit was going to have to overpay to get anybody good. And nothing against Monty Williams. He did a decent job in Phoenix. Maybe didn't even deserve to get fired. People can debate that. But, I don't sit there and say Red Auerbach, Pat Riley, Monty Williams. 78 friggin' million? Are you kidding?
Hey, the money's outrageous nowadays, George. You know that. We've talked about it in length many times on this show. It's just outrageous what's going on. And it's just like if you can get in, it's like the NFL, it's like Major League Baseball, it's the NBA, it's the NHL. Like if you can get in and you don't rock the boat, you can stay for a long time. I mean, the guy obviously didn't get it done in Phoenix. And I'm like you. I don't know why. That's just a hard sell right there with, you bring these guys in. Well, just because you bring them in don't mean they're going to gel together.
It says something about where Detroit is right
now.
Yeah,
I totally agree with you right there. You're absolutely right because they probably couldn't get anybody else. But hey, good for him. You got to be excited for him. He got paid.
Good work by his agent.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Joe Mazzulla, meanwhile, he will remain the head coach of Boston and return next season. Brad Stevens asked about it. He said he's a terrific leader. He'll only get better at anything that he can learn from this year because he's constantly trying to learn, and he's accountable. Not sure how Boston fans feel about that.
Well, okay, let's go with that a little bit. What was the second thing you read? The second quote.
He'll only get better at anything that he can learn from this year because he's constantly trying to learn.
Okay, I believe that part. Kelly, you buy that?
I think the guys, I haven't studied him and been around it enough, but he seemed like he did a pretty good job to me.
He, I thought his team was on the verge of completely quitting on him.
Yeah.
And he probably did his best coaching when they were down 3-0 to get them in a room and say, okay, you got a choice. You can either die like dogs and get ripped all summer by the media, or you can fight back and not hear nearly the grief if you don't win. And I think B is what ended up happening. And I guess good for him that he's able to get retained. Had they gotten swept, he was gone.
Yeah, he was absolutely gone. And it was you're totally right, George, because they did not play good when they went down 3-0, and then they played really good. But that, the final game that they had, the game 7, just didn't play good. Jason Tatum got hurt on the very first play of the game with his ankle. They started shooting 3 balls, and Charles Barkley alluded to it. He's absolutely right. When they don't make the 3 balls, they don't win a lot of games. And they were like, what were they? Like 0 for 11 or 0 for 12 to start the game? Might have been even worse than that. So,
yeah.
A coach can do all he can do, but at some point, the guys have to go out there on the court, and they've got to produce. If they don't produce, they're not going to win a game.
Got to put the biscuit in the basket, Billy.
That's right.
Sure do. And,
wait a minute. That's hockey.
Speaking of putting the biscuit in the basket, putting the ball in the basket, the Nuggets and the Heat are going to try to do that tonight. Eric Lewis was not selected as one of the 12 referees who will work the finals between the Nuggets and the Heat as the league continues to look into whether he used a Twitter account to defend himself and other officials from online critiques. So that's out there.
Really?
Yeah, I had no idea that was out there.
Now, is he the guy that likes to tee up guys?
Yes.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's a big T type of ref.
Right.
So
that's true.
We'll see where that goes. In college hoops, National Player of the Year Zach Edey announced yesterday that he is withdrawing his name from the NBA draft and coming back to Purdue.
Boy, that's great news for Purdue.
Yeah, he initially declared in mid-April and had until 11:59 p.m. yesterday to make a decision. This is the second season in a row that the Player of the Year returns to college. Oscar Tshiebwe last year. I don't think it worked out the way he wanted it to at Kentucky, but I don't think it can get worse for Purdue after this past early exit.
Oh, gosh. The way they went out. Holy cow.
Yeah, that's brutal. Speaking of college basketball, Tyron Lawrence for Vanderbilt, he's returning for another year with Jerry Stackhouse in the doors. He averaged 13 points and 4 rebounds a game. Him and Ezra Mannion, George, that's a decent little backcourt back there in the SEC.
Yeah, now, help me. He was trying to figure out if he was pro-ready.
Yeah, he tested the waters.
Yeah.
And he was chased after by teams like Memphis and Texas Tech and Auburn. But as we've talked about, Vanderbilt must have ponied up. That's the only reason we can. So,
Billy, when you talk about testing the waters, what does that mean nowadays in college basketball? Where the guys, like, do they talk to agents? Do they talk to person? What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, they're just he was at the combine, so he went up there to the G League combine and worked out with a lot of guys. I'm sure he talked with agents and talked with coaches, and they kind of looked at his game and said, "Hey, you're probably I don't know if this is what they said, but you're probably a late second round pick or undrafted." That would be my guess for him. Okay. So you hear that.
I think they were even more blunt. You're not even close. I'm not saying he's not a fine player. He is, but NBA, no way, not yet.
No, I agree. And I think it's better for everybody that he's back at Vanderbilt. It'll be good for that team, good for the fans, and good for him. He's got a kid. So that's tough, a young kid to try to move to another city. Credit to Stackhouse and that staff for retaining him. Let's see here, George. We got some college baseball news. Cincinnati baseball coach Scott Goggins has resigned after 6 years. The NCAA is investigating the program for possible violations stemming from a gambling scandal involving the Bearcats and the Alabama baseball program. So now Cincinnati has been looped into this, and an Indiana resident named Bert Eugene Neff is at the center of this investigation after he placed the wagers on the Alabama LSU game in that Cincinnati sportsbook. So potential involvement with the Cincinnati baseball program.
Me. So, where does Cincinnati come into this?
I think that's what they're investigating right now, because surveillance cameras discovered that this guy, Bert Eugene Neff, was in communication with the Alabama coach Brad Bohannon. And again, it's not confirmed that Cincinnati, was clearly involved, but I think that's what they're trying to figure out right now for possible violations.
What a web we are weaving.
I will say this for Coach Goggins. Don't listen to any of my stuff this week.
We're going to have him on. Hey, Billy, can you arrange him to get on too?
Yeah, we'll get him on here too. Lastly here, Kentucky Regional this weekend in Lexington. On Sunday, Kentucky was selected as one of the regional sites in the NCAA baseball tournament, but the games will occur in Lexington on the same weekend as a music festival. You got big stars in that festival. Obviously, no hotel rooms are available. As a result, they've got to stay in the dorms. All 4 teams, well, I guess Kentucky's already there, so the 3 other teams, families, friends, and fans have to stay in the Kentucky dorm rooms. So they
had either that or go to Louisville. Those were the options.
Yeah, and they chose to be on campus.
Now, in fairness to Kentucky, they told the NCAA up front that this is going to be an issue.
Yes.
And the NCAA went ahead and said, "You're in."
Yeah.
Wow.
And I've heard, Dave and I were talking earlier, I've heard the Lexington dorm rooms in there in Kentucky are pretty nice. So, I mean,
it's still a dorm room, Billy.
It is. But would you rather stay in Louisville? How far is that from Lexington, George?
It depends. Well, it's about an hour.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Hour 10, maybe. Here's the thing, though. There was a time where Kentucky dorm rooms in that old Wildcat Lodge, if you got in the Wildcat Lodge, you were in high cotton.
The Wildcat Lodge.
If you may not know where I'm going with that. In the 80s, Kentucky had a dorm for the basketball players called the Wildcat Lodge. and it was primo.
Mm.
So you're saying that beats Beasley Dorm at Middle that I had to stay in for 4 years. You're saying that's better than Beasley Dorm?
Considerably.
Okay.
Give us some thoughts about Beasley Dorm real quick.
Beasley was nasty. Coach Donnelly loved it. He used to, he would terrify everybody on Friday nights before a game because he would shake the keys just to make sure that everybody knew that he was on the dorm floor that you were on, and he was about to check your room. So then everybody would peek out the windows, and it was him and the strength coach. They would peek out the windows. And then once he left, there's a lot of things that went on. There's a lot of things that happened. There's a lot of guys that left. And I can remember one night, the guy's name was Walt Crowder. Coach Donnelly had been gone for about 30 or 40 minutes, and everybody was already doing things. And we heard them keys, and whew, all the lights went out, and everybody darted back to their rooms. It was crazy.
So would you have liked to have gotten on the roof and tossed a water balloon at him?
Oh, absolutely. I'd probably, if I had it to do over right now, there's no question that's what I would have done. I would have probably gotten one of those slingshots that they used to use from the dorm rooms, and I would have just opened my window and done it. There's no question.
Let me tell you a little bit of what we've got going on today. After the break, we're going to talk about Vanderbilt's regional that starts tomorrow during the day. The teams are Xavier, Oregon, Eastern Illinois, and Vandy. We'll hear from head coach Tim Corbin, and you'll see some numbers on him that will blow you away. I put them together. It blew me away. Then at 2:40, Jason Leferny, who owns X Golf, will come over here and maybe try to help me a little bit.
Oh, are we really watching that?
Just, have a little faith.
Can I take off?
At that point, I would love for you to. Then Danny Evans will join us at 3:00. We've got all kinds of baseball to get into. So stick around from this beautiful grand opening just down the road from the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue, X Golf at 8137 Sawyer Brown Road. The theater is right next door. Come on out. The grand opening stays until 10 p.m., and we're back with more in a moment.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685. Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Links. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
The much anticipated grand opening of X Golf is Thursday, June the 1st from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. out in Bellevue, specifically 8137 Sawyer Brown Road at 1 Bellevue Place right down the road from the theater. Now, we'd love to have you join us. Our show will be here live from 2 to 4 p.m. with the ribbon cutting ceremony at 5 p.m. Come on out. Would love to meet you and compare crummy golf games. We are back. We at X Golf, the grand opening of this beautiful location. You can kind of see in the background a little bit of St. Andrews in the simulated stuff, and we'll show you a little bit more of it later. Kelly, I think it's fair to say that St. Andrews may not be where I need to start.
George, the one hole when we came on and nobody else got to see it, but I was seeing it. You lost the match on the first hole of St. Andrews on Thursday.
Kelly, I ended up in some places that were hard to believe. I'm not sure they even had the film footage ready for one of the places I ended up. But enough of that. We'll do some of that around 2:40. Most of you know that ESPN, they get criticized for a lot of things, and at times rightfully so. But one of the best things that they have done with their platform, they have elevated the college baseball national tournament from down here in the gutter when I was growing up to now something that people really look forward to. And with that in mind, one of the 16 sites where play begins tomorrow is in Nashville. Vandy plays Eastern Illinois at 7 p.m. Preceding that will be Oregon and Xavier, and I don't pretend to know the first thing about either one of them, but both of them were champions of their leagues, so you got to assume they're pretty good. Now, let's show this graphic. Let's go full screen on this, on Tim Corbin, because it's absolutely amazing. He's won 2 national titles in 14 and then in 2019. 20 wins in College World Series games. I believe I'm right that only one active coach in America has 20 or more besides Corbin. This year, when Vandy got in the NCAA tournament, it's the 17th consecutive year, and it is the longest active streak in the country. And as you can see at the bottom of the screen, Corbin has gotten all the way to Omaha 5 different times, 11, 14, 15, 19, and 21. It's a Hall of Fame resume. You know, I admitted to Maggie Corbin earlier today when I put that thing together, Kelly, I've seen virtually all of it, but it floored me how good that resume is.
That's a lot of winning, George. You win 2 national titles at Vanderbilt. He's been to the College World Series 5 times and got 20 wins there. That's just it's a very driven guy. I can remember taking my son down there when he was in his younger days trying to play baseball, and we went to a camp down there, and just how impressed I was with Tim Corbin. My wife loves Tim Corbin, just with some of the things he said. And one of the huge things I love, there's no excuses. Like, we don't let weather, let weather be an excuse. I remember that to this day. And he's absolutely right. Too many people try to make excuses, especially in today's world. And he seems like not that guy. And there's a reason why Vanderbilt has done the things that they've done over the past decade or so. And it's because the guy at the head is very driven, and he won't take less for an answer.
So he met up earlier today with the Nashville media. We're going to let you hear a little bit of this on the eve of the tournament opening in his first round game against Eastern Illinois. And here's the way all of that sounded.
Time capsule goes by so fast. So I think everyone's in pretty good spirits.
Did you say about peaking at the right time? Is that accurate for this club? Do you feel like you were in that position?
Well, I don't know. I mean, peaking and not peaking, I think those are, I guess those are just words used for teams that play well and not so well. And I think what you want to do is just keep improving more than anything. We've talked about this long before this moment, but once you get in this moment, it's just to reiterate that the days in between the games are just as important as the games because they set your mentality up for consistency. So I think it's just doing the same things well or as well as you possibly can.
I imagine that, the renovations that they announced yesterday, you probably, had some voice in that throughout the process. Like, what do you think of kind of the final product or what it's going to look like?
Just beautiful. I mean, this is gone, let's see, I think spring of 21 was when we first started designing and looking at it. It's been a long time and we're still trying to do some finishing touches, but we wanted something that was totally unique. And I think my verbiage to Populous when we were talking about it is the Schermerhorn Theater. I would rather have a baseball stadium look like the Schermerhorn Theater than I would a baseball stadium, just because you can go to any baseball stadium and they may be nice, but typically they look about the same. And we wanted something that was unique to us, unique to Vanderbilt, fit Vanderbilt, would make people that come here comfortable inside their seat, covered. And when you walk inside of it, whether it's Cameron Indoor Arena, you'd say, this is different. And it feels different. And really, that's what we were looking for. And they did a nice job.
The seats on top of the monster, like, I don't think that's a thing in any other college baseball stadium. Is that, like, did you grow up a Sox fan since you're from New Hampshire? Did you play a role in that? I don't know. Like, I mean, I think that's pretty cool. It's unique.
What type of question is that?
I don't know. Like, if you wanted the seats, like Fenway.
If you're a New England guy, you typically root for 4 teams: Patriots, Bruins, Celtics, and Red Sox. So, yeah, I'm a Red Sox fan, and yeah, that probably had something to do with it. But we had, when David Williams was here and alive, he wanted to do that. Okay. So that was something that he wanted to do back then. So that will come to fruition.
What does it mean for you to be able to announce these renovations right before, getting back to hosting a home regional?
Well, I didn't announce them, the school did, but I think the timing's fine. I think the timing for the university coming off of the SEC season and right before regional is just a way to create momentum as best we possibly can and interest the people that will have interest in helping us develop these facilities for the kids and teams to come. So I think the timing is great.
Coach, looking back at Hoover, obviously it's such a great event every year.
Yep.
What does it mean to win that tournament?
It's tough. It's a really tough tournament to win because you're playing a while. You're playing longer than any time you've played during the course of the season. The competition's tough. The league in itself is as difficult as it's ever been. And just the longevity of it more than anything else. I wouldn't say grueling. I hate to say grueling because baseball's not grueling. It's just, it takes a lot of energy, mental and physical, and you got to stay pretty stable. So it was when we did it, it was a good feeling. I was happy that the kids could experience that.
Who's starting tomorrow?
Starting tomorrow's Futrell.
Okay.
Yep.
And are Hunter Owen and Ryan Ginther, are they still good to go for the regional?
Yeah, both of them, they're healthy. Yep.
Probably Hunter in the second game, or no decision on that yet?
I haven't made a decision on that, but no, not yet.
And what's the importance to any tournament of double elimination of winning the first one?
Stay in the winner's bracket, playing well in the first game, and certainly all 4 teams are unique in the fact that they all won their tournament, so they're all confident coming in. But the only game that matters for us is the first one, and that's Eastern. Eastern's played very well. Tough kids, made it through their own conference tournament in kind of the same manner that we did, albeit they had one more game. But you can see when you're watching them that they're older kids that play tough. Ignafo is Really, really good player. He played with Enrique this summer up in Katua at the Cape Cod League, and I think he had 20 home runs in the NECBL and then transitioned to the Cape at the end in playoff season. But very familiar with their players. Tough group.
What's the personality of your team as it's evolved in that season?
I would say smart, mature, consistent, sometimes emotional, but typically pretty stable. If you were a parent, you'd be able to sleep well every night, which is, I would say, a very comforting feeling, because I'm not saying that every parent feels that way. But when you have a house of 40 kids, that's certainly a comforting feeling. They send the staff home feeling good about the day, and that's important.
Those characteristics seem to be important for a team that would be able to make a deep run.
They're important for a team that really stays focalized on what they're doing now and doesn't really get outside their boundaries, which I appreciate, because I think it's so easy for young kids to do is start to look east, west, north, and south about what you could have done, what you're about to do. Should we do it here? Should we do it here? It's no, stay right here. Stay right here and stay very present in how we're doing things right now and enjoy what we're doing right now more than anything else. I think the enjoyment piece is something that I've reiterated more to them than anything, because that hourglass, once it's turned upside down, 80% of the sand's at the bottom, and you know what's at the top, not much. And so you just want them to be able to realize that.
I think just a few innings on the tournament over your impressions of him and how does he stand?
Better as he went, I thought. He hadn't been out there in a while, but I thought he gained rhythm. His emotions have been in check all season, and just for me, when I'm evaluating him, that's the area that I look at first. He's always had a good arm. He's always been able to spin the ball, but he's always been a very intense kid. And when you're really intense, your ability to contain that intensity and really program yourself to stay directed has been very mature. He's done a nice job of that.
So, Billy, he is one of the most fascinating people to me because, first of all, let's start with the winning. What he has done is Hall of Fame kind of winning, taking a program that was middle of the road in the SEC, if not lower, to heights that nobody saw coming. But he's a real thinker. He will give you some real answers, whether it's in front of a microphone, at dinner.
Mm-hmm. You never know what you're going to get out of him.
You don't. I find him to be an incredibly interesting person.
Yeah, and he, you start to think of other coaches that remind you of him. I can't really think of anybody. Maybe obviously a Coach K, some of the legends, you interview them, you really don't ever know what you're going to get out of them. But for Coach Corbin, he's the philosopher type. He's that's why they have won so much, because he's just as much of a teacher as he is a coach. In the classroom, that's where this program was built. In the classroom, outside of the baseball diamond, how do you carry yourself? How do you treat other people? How are you a citizen in the Nashville community? It's not just winning baseball, right? This is why parents love him. Kelly mentioned his wife loving Tim Corbin. It's a parent's dream for their kid. So there's a reason he's been so successful, and another postseason run feels like it's on the horizon this year.
Kelly, there was a year where he asked me to MC their baseball banquet at the start of the season. And I really had I had not been to one. And he gets up when it's his time with absolutely no notes.
Yeah.
And he says, our left fielder is Billy Derrick. Billy has two sisters. They're so-and-so and so-and-so. Anita and John have done a wonderful job raising him. He's just, it blew my mind. And so I tried to think of something funny to say at the end. And I said, Tim, for God's sakes, next year, tell us about the pets. Do they have any dogs? Do they have cats?
Did he laugh?
Yeah. But it takes some work
Yeah.
to pull that off with no notes. And it was there that I said, you can't do that unless you genuinely care.
Yeah, I do not have that brain, George. When he was talking, I was thinking like how thought provoking he is. Like he really like gets down to the details of things. And somebody asked, I don't think it was Billy, but somebody asked him a question. And he was like, "Your kids are safe," and like I'm like thinking to myself, that's what parents want when their kids go off to school, that they're going to be taken care of and they're going to be safe. And a coach has got their best interests, and he's when he speaks, man, it's pretty heavy stuff. And I wish I had that brain. I do not. I'm not. I'm definitely not on his wavelength when it comes to stuff like that. But some coaches are, and Coach Donnelly was kind of like that. If you ever hear Coach Donnelly speak, it's amazing what he can just come up with. It's amazing that you have people like him. And there's a reason why Vanderbilt, and there's a reason why Derek sticks his chest out, because he loves him some Vandy boys. Billy loves him some Vandy boys, dude. You can tell that.
The Vandy boys, that's what they've got. I mean, you gotta puff your chest out about something.
I've told people this story. A year ago, Tim and Maggie and I went to dinner one night at a place I'd never been, and apparently they eat out a lot. Anyway, not that really matters, but I wanted to know about his relationship with the late great Lipscomb basketball coach Don Meyer.
Yeah.
They got very close near the end of Don Meyer's life, and he kind of turned it on me about midway through the dinner and said, "I want to know about your relationship with C.M. Newton. How did that happen?"
Yeah, exactly.
And I had to sit there and say, it's living proof that great people look for others in the gutter.
Corbin, he's different. I mean, he's the definition of somebody that you don't get every day. You don't get people like Maggie and Tim every day. So
when he talks, Billy, about the learning sessions in their classroom, they've built a baseball wing over there that's really good. And a lot of his former players, to be honest, are the reason they could get that done. It was $10-12 million facility. Mm-hmm. And he uses that as I think more of a teaching tool about life than he does baseball. I think he's if you were to, put a gun to his head and say, okay, what are you prouder of? This stuff, because I told him today, I said, by the way, I did this chart on all these numbers of you. And I said, pretty good. He goes, it's okay. And I said, don't give me that. It's okay. I said, it's Hall of Fame. But I do think he cares more about the classroom stuff even than he does what goes on the diamond. I do believe that.
Well, that's part of your job as a head coach. I mean, you got to wean these kids. You take them from mommy and daddy, where they've been fed milk their whole life, and been pampered, and like Johnny's great and all this, and then they've got to go. So he's an interesting guy. I like what Billy said. He's interesting because I just met him there at the camp when my son went those couple of days, and I really enjoyed being around him. He seems like he really cares about the kids. Now I will say this: the guy's competitive now. When he starts losing, I'm sure it's not very fun on his kids.
No, I don't think that word is in his vocabulary.
No. And George, one more thing on the chart: 2 College World Series national titles, but 5 trips. Look at 17 straight regional appearances. That's how hard it is to get to Omaha, right? Only 5 out of those, since 2003. So that's how hard it is. He knows that. And he was trying to say today, we cannot take these regionals for granted and hosting them and the supers for granted, because you don't always get them. You don't always get to host them. So
you're right.
It'll be interesting.
Okay, after the break, we're going to learn more about this stuff behind me. What you see right now is St. Anne.
George is muted.
But I have heard from enough of you who say, I didn't know anything. When I went, I was blown away. And I'm looking forward to it. You see the dates at the bottom of the screen, August the 4th through the 6th, and the tickets have gone on sale. They've been on sale now for more than a month, and you can get yours beginning with general admission and then moving all the way up to some much higher amenity kind of things. MusicCityGP.com is the website. Again, MusicCityGP.com. When we come back, GP might get embarrassed on a golf course near you. We're broadcasting live today from the grand opening of X Golf out in Bellevue, and we're back after this. If you're looking for a football camp for your son or daughter that stresses the fundamentals and doing things right, let me suggest the Hometown Football Camp. Here's former MTSU quarterback Wes Counts.
The Hometown Football Camp is a youth football camp at Battleground Academy, June 19th through 21st. This is a working skills camp for young football players to learn proper technique and skills to prepare them for the upcoming season. Our coaches have won championships at both high school and college levels and are eager to pass along their knowledge. So if the young football player in your life wants to be successful this fall, send them to the Hometown Football Camp. Register at hometownfootballcamp.com. That's hometownfootballcamp.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
Well, today is the grand opening of X Golf. We're excited to be here at 8137 Sawyer Brown Road in the Bellevue area. The grand opening goes on until 10 p.m. tonight. Jason Leferny, is the owner of this place, and some of you saw him yesterday on the show. So what's it been like so far?
It's been great. Hasn't been a whole lot different than most days that we have our doors open and the lights on. People stop by all the time, poking their head in, want to know what's happening, what this is about. Been very well received in the community. They want to welcome us to the neighborhood and see what all the fuss is about.
Okay,
that's what's been going on today.
Let's get up. Let's see how far we can stretch the mics here. And I want you to tell people exactly what goes on back here.
Sure. So we're standing in front of one of our 6 state-of-the-art simulators, the most accurate golf simulators on the market today.
Back up just a little.
Sure.
Okay.
So, you want them to see the
yeah,
whole?
Want them to see it.
Sorry. Like
it's okay.
Selling a car, right? Show all the goods. So we've got this set up on Pebble Beach. We have lots of different settings. We have over 54 courses. You can play international courses, 27 domestic courses, all the big, most popular ones. And that's a great thing about X Golf. You can come in and challenge yourself on the world's most famous golf courses and have a blast doing it. We've got, as we said, we've set this up on Pebble Beach for George. We're going to see if he can keep it in the fairway.
I think I'd be better off at McCabe, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, you don't have to hunt for your ball here. This is come right
it looks
back
pretty
out.
nice.
We'll show that feature too. And then we also have just your standard. If you want to come in and practice, we've got a nice driving range. The analytics are off the charts. Give you all your feedback, your spin rate, your smash factor, your club head speed, more stuff than you could ever really process. What we want to do, George, and we mentioned this yesterday, is we are going to have a PGA certified professional on staff that can help with this data, translating this into better swings and better scores. That's happening soon, but we're
not there yet.
Not there yet.
Okay,
that's right. But
Kelly,
it's gonna happen.
do you want anything you want to say at this point?
No, I'm good. I just can't wait to see the swing again. Like Jason, you've got your work cut out for you. I'm sorry that you have to witness this, but
he won't break anything. It'll be fine.
I know he won't break anything, but he might hit the top. I mean, you better have some net up there.
It happens.
It does happen.
Okay, I want to show you all before I go hit a ball how simple it is. Basically, this button right here will get a ball to the tee box area. Okay, and this, because I like to elevate the ball a little higher than most people, allows me to do just that. Okay, you all can see that now. Is that a little too high? Maybe, but my golf game isn't like a lot of people's. So here goes. I'm going to yell so you all can hear exactly what's going to happen here. There's a lot of pressure here. So we've got the wood. You all can see that. And here we go.
I'm gonna stand back.
This is a 313-yard hole, and this will be the tee shot.
Making history here. Uh-oh. Kelly, what do you think?
That's running up there, Kel.
That's right down the middle.
153 yards with a driver.
So, Kelly.
Yes.
Take that, big boy. Now, here's where some problems develop. Jason, if you would, grab the 4-iron.
Yes, sir.
Well, here's where your problem.
We're going to pop the ball up, and we're going to elevate just a tad, and we're going to see how this plays out. Kelly, how we doing so far?
Well, George, you just hit it 153 yards. You need the driver again to get it to the green.
Oh, nice shot.
Oh, man, that's 2 straight. He's in the fairway, Kelly.
He's in the fairway, but he hit it 95 yards.
Keep your heart out, Kelly.
I mean, there's 80-year-olds down here that hit it farther than that, George.
74 yards to the flag. Let's get the little 8-iron.
What are you going to get? A
Happy
4
to be
iron?
your caddy, George.
Thank you. You've
Yes,
done
sir.
Great. So, Kelly, we're not going to elevate as high on this one.
Okay.
Here we go.
No green in regulation for you.
Look at that. Oh, it's going to roll off the green, though.
Okay. I'm
Listen.
prepared to quit at this point.
33 feet to the hole.
What about that there, Charles Barkley Jr.?
George, that was pretty impressive. You have no pop on the ball, but you hit it straight. I mean, that's what old people do. They hit it straight.
So
Kelly's being nice to you too, George.
Oh, I know.
didn't mention it that you hit
That
it
I
off
was
the
30
tee.
over.
Well, you hit it off the tee every time too. So no,
Exactly.
normally
I mean, you acted. You remember when we had George? You remember when we had Couchy on, and the first time I took Couchy to golf, he hit a drive, and then he was in the fairway, and then he teed it up again, and I'm like, "What are you doing, Couchy?" And he's like, "You don't expect me to hit off the ground, do you?" And I'm like, "That's called golf, Tim. That's called golf."
That's a great story. Number 1 draft pick in the NFL in 99 or whenever. So Good picture here. They've got me half cut out.
Well,
so in theory, this should do what for me if I were to be in here a lot? Does it improve my golf game?
Well, anyone would tell
theory.
you in theory, just practicing should help your game. And you get to come here and you can grind and hit shots. It's always 72 and sunny inside. You're not battling the elements. You're not battling the crowds. And again, all the analytics are there. Maybe you can do something with that. Maybe you can't. I don't know. But again, once we have a instructor in here, they could really help.
Oh, I know that. But let's be honest. It was better than everybody thought it would be.
That's saying a lot.
Well, yeah, but they saw 30 over par through 10 holes.
That's
I mean,
true.
that's
true. When the camera was on.
When the camera was on, baby, we rose to a new
High
level.
Pressure. That's impressive. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so ribbon cutting today at 5.
Yes, sir.
What
5
else?
o'clock? Well, from 4:30 to 6:30, we have a reception. Some local dignitaries will be here. You were one of them. But we're going to have a couple of state reps and some Metro Council members here as well. And just kind of set it off official. We'll have food and drinks and beverages for everybody. And we're having a full fun day of it.
Thanks for having us out here.
Are you kidding? Thank you.
This was good.
Thank you, neighbor. Right?
Yeah, exactly. We're just a stone's throw from here. Kelly, let's bring Kelly back up for a minute. Kelly, I want you to admit in the camera, look straight into it. It was not nearly as bad as you thought it'd be.
Yeah. Correct. I'll give you that. You wasn't.
Okay,
it wasn't, but like when you're hitting it only 50 yards down the thing, I mean, that really doesn't matter, George. Like you're going to have to go up to the ladies' tees.
We do have ladies' tees. We have that setting. You can play from the tips or the ladies.
You got the whole thing covered.
We got that.
Kelly, I was a good sport, and I appreciate you're not totally dogging me on this. There's a lot of pressure when you do this live because we're going to keep this. There's some friends of mine I'm going to send this to, one in particular in Atlanta who has described my golf game in a very negative fashion. Jeff Francoeur, if you're out there, baby, that was for you.
We can't say how CM described it.
No, we cannot use those words. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
As you open this business, and thank you for having us out here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Thanks,
Jason Leferny is the owner here of X Golf, and I would invite any and all of you this weekend at some point to come out and try this simulator. If I can make it work, who knows? Might help your game. When we come back, stat of the day, and then our buddy Danny Evans. A lot of things to talk with him about in the world of baseball. Stick around. We're coming back with more from X Golf.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you. This is my buddy and former Nashville Sounds PA announcer Eric Berner. I always laughed in the old days at Greer Stadium when I would walk in, Eric would immediately play my favorite song, Van Halen's Jump. But then I learned he actually has a real job with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors.
Yeah, George, that's what I do. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. Everybody's situation is different, so I use a customized and individualized, personalized approach to the person I'm working with. Old 401ks, retirement planning, insurance planning, inheritance planning. Those are things that people like to get some more information about.
One of the things I find is people don't even know where to start, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, so I can usually help people with an initial phone call or meeting that is a no charge and no obligation.
And I'll bet you have a phone number and a website.
I do, George. They can call me at 615-235-1058 or rockcastlewealth.com or Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication. And we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports, and then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general: baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised, and of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Welcome back in. It is time for Kelly Holcomb's favorite segment of the show. It is time for Stat of the Day, presented to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards, located in Shelbyville, Tennessee. 204 East Depot Street is where you can find them. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So give them a call at 931-492-4304.
Now, let's be honest. Kelly has upped his game considerably.
He has. And so I know Danny's joining us here, so we'll go ahead and throw him in as well. So it's obviously going to be baseball related, and Danny's been kicking my butt. So I dug deep for this.
Well, listen, there aren't 5 people in the world know more baseball than him.
I have. So I'm going to see if this is a little challenge to him. Since 2021, Shohei Ohtani has hit more home runs than any other American League player except Aaron Judge. Ohtani has also struck out more batters in the American League than any other pitcher except Garrett Cole and what other American League pitcher?
Now, wait a minute. You're talking about this year.
Since 2021, Ohtani is third in the American League in strikeouts behind Garrett Cole and what other American League pitcher?
Are you certain about that? Because the Angels have had to close him up a couple of times.
Are you questioning David's integrity?
No, not integrity, just the accuracy of the question. Danny, are you thinking the same thing?
No, I think he's in that top 3. Just trying to think who the third guy would be.
I will help you out. Take out Verlander because it counts this year as well. So he's in New York now with the Mets. So take him out of the equation. But there is an American League pitcher that has more strikeouts than him besides Garrett Cole.
Okay. It certainly would not be Chris Sale. He's been injured way too much. Danny, could it be Shane Bieber in Cleveland?
No, I would guess, George. I would guess it's Dylan Cease.
Oh, wow. Up and coming White Sox hurler.
Yeah, he's got great stuff. Great four-seam fastball. I'm just going to toss that one out there. He's kind of a sleeper, and he's a strikeout guy, and he's got a chance to punch out a whole lot of people before his career's over.
Danny got me again.
That's
unbelievable. This is unbelievable.
Kelly, thank you for your contribution.
Yeah, hey, I'm just interested to watch y'all, see what y'all come up with, because I'm setting this one out.
That's Spencer Strider's twin brother right there with the mustache and all.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to have to start following this game more, I think.
So, Danny, can you tell where we are today? Let's put full picture up. Danny, we are at the grand opening of X Golf. Okay. And moments ago, I got up here. I had been, before the show started, I had played St. Andrews. I was 30 over par through 10 holes. Not anything to. And I'll be honest, I hit one ball that was so OB, it looked like where they put Dempsey dumpsters. Then we went live moments ago, Kelly knowing he was going to embarrass me, and I showed up like a true champion. I hit 3 balls decently and 3 pretty straight balls.
George, you hit a driver 153 yards, Hoss.
Yeah, I know. That is
into the wind, Kelly. Right.
I don't care if it's into the wind or not. It's still 153 yards, Danny. I mean, he hit a driver 153, and then it was a 300-yard hole, and then he was going to give me a 4-iron. Well, you hit a driver 153 yards, you need to hit it off the deck again with a driver to get it.
I like it. I like it
to the green.
Yeah. But see, I think what we've got here, Danny, I think it was going to be so embarrassing that he wasn't going to have to say anything. And instead, I elevated my game. Now, it had nowhere to go, but we elevated on live television.
Well, he hit it straight, Danny. He did hit it straight, but that's what old people do. They can't hit it far. They hit it straight.
I'll tell you what, guys, I'm loving this because I'm on the cusp. I'm still hitting them a long way. They don't always go straight, but boy, they feel good. But those simulators are a blast. And I will say this, George, the best round of golf I ever played in my life was the day after the Masters, probably 20 years ago. I played Augusta.
Really?
With the tournament pins from Sunday. And that is the best 93 of my life. And I'll tell you what, all I cared was I didn't want to go to triple digits. There were a couple shots where I went, oh my God, how do they do this? And then, Kelly, I've been known to hit a little bit more club than usual just because when my dad brought me up, my dad said, you don't play golf to be short. So I caddied for a couple of years, and the caddy master used to always say, tell the members to hit more club than you should because that'll keep the round of golf going. But simulators, guys, oh my God, they are so much fun.
Kelly,
so Danny, so hold on, George. So Danny,
Okay.
you got to play the day after the tournament at the Masters? Did you really?
I did,
wow.
Kelly.
That's
And
pretty
I've
cool.
been so lucky. I've been so lucky to work with some really obsessed golfers throughout my career that I've played some amazing tracks. And my bag is a little louder than most because I keep my 5 favorite tags on the bag, and they're a little clanky and they make a whole lot of noise. But it's just my way of kind of saying I had my bag out yesterday and somebody in Dyersville said, "What?" And I went, yeah. It's like, I can lose them with the best of them, guys. Let's go.
if your golf score ends up higher than your IQ, the likelihood is you're in big trouble.
And I tell you what, George, we have reached those numbers a few times, but I don't like to admit it. But I just think what you guys are doing is fun. I mean, that's a blast.
Yeah, it's
we're going to try to get a simulator up in Dyersville and make that something fun for the families to do when they visit. And Lord knows I'm going to be the quality control operator there, no doubt.
I believe it. So I want to flash the logo, and you're going to know here in a minute where I'm going with this particular logo. Billy, if you will, put it up there.
Cool.
Danny, have you been paying much attention to this?
Not as much as I should have, George, but when Major League Baseball offers to pay 80% of the numbers for the following year, I'll tell you what, that's a real problem. And I think there's double-digit teams involved too, so it's just bad. It's just real bad.
My Braves are one of them. I had heard several weeks ago that the Cincinnati Reds were going to be the first team that, you know, this whole thing exploded. Instead, it was the San Diego Padres. And at this moment, a judge, and I think it's in Houston, is hearing both sides of this. Rob Manfred testifying today, the folks at what is Diamond something or other, which created Bally Sports. I don't know where it's going, but I know it's not good.
Yeah, good for Major League Baseball to take a real strong stance. I mean, for people like us, I mean, I'm just a massive baseball fan, even though I've worked in the game my whole life. George, I tell you what, to not be able to see games is not good. In Iowa, we have 6 teams that we get blacked out with. So, I just came home yesterday, and candidly, I mean, it crushes me that I can't watch 12 of the 30 teams every night. And what they're doing with the regional sports networks is really an amazing story in Major League Baseball in 2023, because the failure of some of those networks is of an epic proportion. And who gets hurt? It's the fans. So good for Major League Baseball to stand up and try to help people like us out, because it's just a rupture in the fan base when you can't watch your own team play.
I guess the only piece of good news, Danny, MLB has known for months this was coming.
That's right. Yeah. And George, you know what? To their credit, they hired some really elite network executives to work for MLB to remedy this situation. They know the traffic signs because they're just experienced elite people in the game. And I have every expectation that the fans of the game will end up being okay when this is all done, just because this group of baseball executives are really, really good. And it's not good for the game when you can't watch your team play.
Danny, I have not always been Rob Manfred's biggest fan, but I've got to admit that the changes that they made this year in instituting the pitch clock, getting rid of the shift, I like baseball a whole lot better. How about you?
Yeah. Yeah. And George, I'm a blend of old and new school. I had seen, and I remember saying this in the spring, we were talking about, I had seen the pitch clock throughout the minor leagues, and I'd seen it in some other elements, and it played great. And what I really loved about it is the pace. I heard some of the naysayers say, well, there's no clock on the game. That's what makes it special. Well, heck, I know the game's special, and I know there's no clock, but it had got to the point where either fix the Velcro on your batting gloves or get the heck in the batter's box. Throw the pitch. As one pitching coach friend said to me a couple of years ago, guys are afraid to throw the baseball at times, and they just walk around the mound. I think the game has taken a leap this year. It's so wonderful to watch a quick ball game. Last night I got home late, and I watched the Mariners ball game last night, which was a terrific ball game. Played all the way through 9, 1-0, and it was over so darn quick. I got a chance to get to sleep at a good time. So, I love it, and I think it's been good. I've known Rob a long time, George. I've known Rob probably 35 years, and I'm actually a big Rob Manfred fan because he loves the game. He's in a tough spot because he's got 30 owners that he's got to deal with on a daily basis. They all have different backgrounds and they all have different needs and desires. But I think Rob Manfred, most importantly, loves the game, and his love of the game shows in a lot of things that he's been able to do in recent years.
Danny, we showed some pictures a minute ago to the Cincinnati Reds, and I'll admit, with Joey Votto not in there, there are some names until a week ago I had never heard of, and yet the Reds have won 5 in a row in a division where top to bottom, everybody's got a real shot, and I love that.
Yeah, George, you know what? It's probably going to be an 83 to 85 win division champion. They're going to have a shot. I went and saw them play 2 weeks ago at Coors Field against the Rockettes, and it was not a team that I knew a lot about, but people that I know in the game said their farm system is terrific. Their general manager is a really good buddy of mine. He's terrific. I think Nick Kroll does a great job. And I think what we're going to see is the Reds surge. We were lucky enough to host them last year for the Field of Dreams game. And their people said some really good things about their players that are coming. And keep in mind, their best guy's not even there. He's hurt right now. So I'm excited about the Reds. And I think it's always great when Cincinnati has a baseball team that's competitive. Because, George, I'm sure you've been there. That fan base is absolutely fun as heck. At Ballpark Rocks, it's a really good place for baseball. And they're in a division where they can probably get to the top quicker than just about any division in the game, which is good for the sport.
I'm totally with you. I go up to Cincinnati once or twice a season, what's called Great American Small Park. It's a lot of fun. I want to turn it to one more real quickly. I am starting to be convinced that Arizona is going to make the playoffs and that there is something really good going on in the desert.
George, great observation. Let me just preface this, George. Their general manager is one of my favorite people in the game, and he went through a horrific situation where he lost his wife to brain cancer. His family of 4 was just devastated, and good on the Diamondbacks. They just let him back off and go through that very, very difficult period. And now Mike's in a situation where his team, under his vision, has turned things around. And George, they do it 3 ways. And I know you're worried about him because I know the Bravos are playing him pretty soon. But I mean, I think they're playing him this weekend, as a matter of fact. But what you have is you have all kinds of speed, and you have elite defense as a result, and then you've got a couple starting pitchers that are really good, and you're going to see 2 of them this weekend against Atlanta. I think they're for real. They're 10 over. I watched a lot of their ball game last night. They've got some terrific young talent, and they got some guys coming. I was not sold on them in spring training, but George, I think it's a great observation. I think they are a team to be reckoned with. They are right behind the Dodgers, and it's because they deserve it. They've played really, really well in the first fourth of the season.
There's a kid on that pitching staff, Zach Gallen. He's real.
Nasty. And you're going to see two of them this weekend, George. You did a little homework. You're going to get Kelly, Kelly on Friday, and he's good. I saw him over in the KBO in Korea. He threw really well. And then you get Gallen on Sunday, and we're going to see a whole lot of good starting pitchers in that environment this weekend, which is a good test for the Braves in a situation where they've been sputtering a little bit. Sometimes, George, I tell you what, it's kind of weird. When you see there's going to be real good starting pitchers coming, it elevates your prep for the game because you got to be on your game. You got to play good defense, and the runs are going to be hard to come by. That's a really good test at this quarter pole mark for the Braves this weekend.
Danny, last thing on my end, then we'll go to the break, and then Kelly will chime in here. As you know, NCAA baseball tournament begins tomorrow. This is a deal 25 years ago none of us paid any attention to, and ESPN has elevated it beyond anything I ever thought was coming. How much scouting do major league teams do of that?
Oh, a ton. George, you want to see how guys play at game time. The college game has just gotten so good the last 20 years. All your fans down there around Vandy see it. Tim does a phenomenal job with that program, and he develops great kids that turn out to be good players too. But just take a look at that environment down there this weekend. It'll be rabid. And George, should they advance, Vanderbilt could play Okie State in a very early challenge, which could be amazing. I got bit by the bug big time when I was living in California, simply because UCLA and other teams in California tend to host the tournament because of the weather. And George, I love college baseball, and the College World Series is great. But let me give you one more bit of insight. MLB has moved the draft, and they moved it later into July. And the result is you get to scout kids in the tournament, and you get to see how they play in the NCAA action. In the past, you're in a draft room, and you had associate scouts and part-time guys there watching your guys. It's great for your best people to see the best players in the college game, which is about 60% of the draft today, George. It's great for them to be seen when they're on a stage that really matters. And what the fans will see in Nashville this weekend is some great baseball with some really good teams.
Amen. Looking forward to it. Danny, we'll go to the commercial break, and then Kelly Holcomb will be front and center stage. So get ready. I may do some practicing. I may try to get it to 160 off the tee. That would certainly be
hit the 4-iron, George. Hit it good. Hit it solid. Let's go.
Stay tuned. We're back after this.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Lanes.
So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between. Discover what Hit City has to offer. Single game tickets are on sale now.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700, send us a message at celestemiddleton.com, or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
We are back at X Golf. The grand opening is today. The ribbon cutting is at 5 o'clock. If you're on your way home toward West Nashville in particular, stop on in at 8137 Sawyer Brown Road. You'll get to see my lousy golf game. As you can see by the picture, Kelly Holcomb is in the middle. Danny Evans, who knows more baseball than anybody should, is on the right. We'll get him later. Before we finish with him to give us the latest news from Iowa and what's going on with that beautiful situation that he is taking care of. It's amazing. Anyway, Kelly, we'll start with you, and then I'll finish it with Danny at the end.
George, Danny told you to go hit a 4-iron, but if you hit a 4-iron, hit it farther than 95 yards, please.
Tough crowd.
I understand that. Maybe you can go back there and do some push-ups or something to get whatever it is you got to get going. You know what I'm saying?
Kelly, here's a thought for you. Stuff it.
I am envious, guys. I got to tell you, I'm envious. I'd love to be hitting them right now.
Hey, those simulators are pretty true to form too. I've got a buddy that's in Murfreesboro where I live, and he just opened a golf shop, and you can play Augusta now. It's not under Augusta on his computer, but it's pretty cool, and they're hard. They're not easy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I was going to ask you is, y'all were just talking about the college game. With the college game having aluminum bats, and with the pro game obviously being wood bats, I'm sure y'all can tell who is a hitter and who is making a living off an aluminum bat. How does that play into y'all's deal when you're evaluating a kid?
Kelly, it's a great question. If you think about all the sports, of all the major sports, it's the most difficult to scout because of the composite bat. You're not throwing wood out there during the league season. Imagine basketball having a shorter rim, or football having a smaller field, or hockey, using different sticks and pucks. It just wouldn't happen. But here's what you do, Kelly, and here's the little trick that's really come on in the last, I'd say, 25 years or so. Baseball's lowered the draft by rounds. It used to be unlimited, then it was 60, now it's 20. What you're doing more than ever is in the summertime, elite prospects are playing on the Cape. Yeah. They're playing in the Northwoods League. They're playing in many of the collegiate summer leagues across the country, and they've got wood in their hand. Oh, wow. So the scouts see the pitchers pitch to, wood bats, and we watch the hitters face the elite pitchers with a wood bat. And the composite bat is great for cost. It's great for, youth development. It really is. I mean, I was a parent over the weekend who was telling me about his son's bat cost him $545. And,
Easy.
I'm just thinking that sounds like a lot, but if he was using wood, he'd probably go through, $1,000 worth of bats.
Right.
But here's the deal, Kelly. When you go into these elite summer leagues, you get to see these guys play with wood. At the high school level, scout teams use wood at the same time. So what we're doing better as a game is putting wood in kids' hands. And remember, Kelly, that just doesn't affect the hitter. It affects the pitcher too, because the pitcher who's going in on a guy or has a fastball with a lot of movement that gets off the barrel, with the composite bat, that ball gets in play. He doesn't shatter it. He gets somewhat solid contact. But suddenly, if he's using wood, he's splintering bats, and guys really don't like it. I know I hated hitting with wood when I was coming off the composite bat, because that ball in just hurts like heck.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing now is the game's evaluating better and better pitchers and hitters, because we're getting wood in their hands more often. And as a result, we're getting a better feel for who they are when they get to the pro game.
So how long does it take a kid to get used to that? I mean, what is the, like, I know, I remember when I was in Little League and there was a guy that had a bat and he would always have a wood bat. And then I held it wrong and I broke his bat. I felt really bad about it, but like, how long does it take to get a kid totally used to hitting with a wooden bat?
Kind of depends what kind of a hitter you are, Kelly. If you're a feel guy, if you spray the ball around a little quicker than others, because you're not worried as much about barreling and you're worried about contact. But if you're a guy who's up there hacking, he's swinging it, you get jammed, you jam yourself a lot, you get that ball in the outer half that hurts. I think if you're up against the right competition, it can take a whole summer of learning how to do it. And Kelly, one of the fun things that really good hitting people are doing now is they're putting wood in guys' hands during the off season, during the preseason, postseason, just letting them hit a little bit with it and getting them to feel for how it feels to get jammed with wood. And what it does then is the transition is not as abrupt. It can be a blunt thing. I mean, Kelly, it's a super question, because one of the worst things to watch is the first week of the Cape, the first week of the Northwoods League, because you're watching a bunch of guys going up there and, they could be up there with the Thursday newspaper. It would be just as productive, because guys go up there and they're like, my God, I've been hit with composite all year, and now I'm going to start swinging this thing. The pitchers have a field day, but then as the summer goes on, it gets more and more even. And I think it's one of the great things about the college, I would say, environment nowadays is we've grown up a little bit. And Kelly, when I was young, people used to rip the college game and just would talk about it being a bunch of guys who couldn't get drafted out of college. Well, it's completely the other way now. It's like there are very few high school kids that are ready for the transition. And the college game now is a great supporter of the big league game.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But, talking about the cost of that bat, I can remember when I first started out in Little League, well, the coach would have an Army bag and he would bring helmets and he would bring balls and he would bring like 3 or 4 aluminum bats. And now when my son started playing travel ball, which I'm not a huge travel ball guy, but I know that's where the game is going. But like everybody's got to have their own bat. Everybody's got to have their own stuff. They got to have, it's amazing. And the cost of that stuff, like if you're going to get a good bat to try to compete with your son with these other kids, you've got to buy him something nice.
Yeah. And you know what, Kelly, I think the hard thing, and you're going through it with your son, kids are getting bigger and they're getting, they're maturing and physically changing over the course of a summer. One parent told me over the weekend that one of the challenges, he bought a bat for his kid in February and he's grown 5 inches in 3 months. So now all of a sudden that $400 bat, it's not the right bat for him anymore.
Right.
So for parents, it's just such a challenge, but you got to have the right thing in your hands to swing it. So it's a real challenge. What I would suggest to parents too, if they're listening, is when you're done with that bat, sell it, bring it to a plate again, bring it somewhere else and get some return on your bat or donate it to a program, because what you're really doing is you're investing for your son or daughter, especially at the, softball level. You're investing for their future, and they're going to outgrow their cleats, and they're going to outgrow their bats.
It's really cool because we have Jeff Him on, that, and I
Yeah.
get to ask him minor league questions, and I get to ask you major league questions. But here's my question to you: what is the biggest adjustment for a kid that gets brought up from AAA to go into the majors? What is the biggest adjustment that he's got to get used to?
I think there's a couple, Kelly. You're playing against guys you've watched on TV, and there's an awe factor, and it's there. It's there, and it's loud. This is the guy you grew up emulating. This is the guy. Think of Ted Lasso. We're watching it on Ted Lasso, where one of the characters, grew up as a Kent fan, and now suddenly he's on the same team. That's number one. But number two, and Kelly, I think this is the thing that separates people. We talked about expectations last week, but with expectations comes pressure. And when you're playing in front of 5,000, 7,000 people, the baseball aficionados are the ones watching you. Suddenly you're playing in front of 60,000 people, 40,000 people. It's a national TV game, and you're getting scrutinized for everything you do. It's not just the expectations, but it's the anxiety of having to play. And Kelly, remember, it's one thing to be the best little leaguer in your neighborhood. Yeah. Now suddenly you're playing against the best 26 guys on the other side of the field. They were all the best players in their county, their city, every darn one of them.
Right.
And, every fastball is elite. Every defender is pretty darn good. There are very few easy outs. Chon-Ho Park, the really great Korean pitcher, once said to me, the biggest difference in the minor leagues and the major leagues is your breathing. Because in the minor leagues, you can just take a little time off. That's 7, 8, 9 guys probably never going to get to the big leagues. You can get him out. In the big leagues, you got 9-hole hitters hitting 280 with 500 slugs. And, you got to be careful. You can't make a mistake. And for many guys, the depth of the game is just absolutely impossible to deal with. They can't handle that there's no time off. So I think that's the big deal, Kelly. I really do.
Yeah, that's always intrigued me about guys because, coming up through the NFL, being from college, we don't really have that. But, it was an adjustment for me. But then at some point, you finally realize that it's like, hey, I can remember my first Monday night football game. It's like, it's just football. Everybody's watching it, but it's just football. So at some point, as minor leaguers, you got to get to that point.
Kelly, can I tell you a quick story? A really good player I drafted came in for his major league debut. He's running in out of the bullpen. He has no idea who he's going to face. He has absolutely no idea. And he's running in, and it's Vladimir Guerrero. And he gets to about the cut of the infield, and he went, oh my God, I grew up in Southern California. This guy is a beast. How am I going to get this guy out? His poster's on my home wall. And he said he got in there and he warmed up so poorly. And he said, in my brain, I'm thinking, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for this matchup. He got the count full. Guerrero popped out, hit it a mile high. And he said he started to breathe differently. But then he looked in the on-deck circle and he goes, oh my God, Trout's next. And, this is what's going on at the big league level. And Kelly, these guys, when they debut, they don't know who they're walking into, but they're walking into somebody that they've watched play.
Yeah, that's a cool story. So my last thing is, we were talking this morning. I just want to know kind of the GM head coach, and it goes to pitching. Okay, so George and I don't know what brought this up, but he was talking about R.A. Dickey throwing 160-something game or 60-something pitches in one game. And I'm like, I've never heard of that. I don't know what brought that up. And then he talked about David Cone one night, had 161 pitches. And we were talking like that cannot be good for your arm. So as a GM, and he said, I don't think those guys ever return from that. But as a GM, when you see something like that, like, do you and the head coach talk about things? Do y'all have spats? Do you get angry at him? I'm sure he gets angry at you. How does that dynamic work between a GM and a head coach when you have something
Sure you
like
do.
that? Yeah.
And Kelly, you inherit so much of it. You inherit what's been done at the travel level, at the high school level, at the collegiate level.
Right.
You're talking R.A. Dickey. R.A. Dickey's a Nashville guy.
Right.
He gets drafted and they find that his ligament is basically gone.
Yeah.
And he becomes a knuckleballer the rest
Right.
of his career. But he was a first-round kid because he had a great arm. The Hall of Fame is loaded with people who threw 160 to 200 pitches in a game. Most of them had shorter careers than our guys do today. But Kelly, you know what? We know now much more than we did 10, 20 years ago about what abuse does to the arm, what a lack of a consistent throwing program does to an arm. It's not the breaking balls. It's the repetition of max effort deliveries trying to get guys out. So yes, it's a great question, Kelly, because what you need to do as a general manager is you need to set up a throwing program and throwing limits, pitch limits for your organization. What I really like to do is when a guy's drafted, just basically give him the rest of the summer off, let him pitch a little bit, and then start him up again for the following year under your program, under your throwing situation. Very few guys in the big leagues today, Cal, get to 120 pitches.
Right.
And when they do, they're there for a reason, perhaps a no-hitter, a perfect game, perhaps a late season win where the guy's the better option. But what we've really learned as a game is those triple-digit pitch counts every 5 days, they not only take their toll on the pitcher short-term, but long-term, his shelf life gets minimized more and more. It's also happening at the softball level, Kelly, where girls are out there throwing 120 to 140 pitches in a collegiate game,
Yeah.
and then they come back the next
day
ball
and
game.
throw a bunch. Yeah.
Exactly. And that can't be good.
No, it cannot be good. So I was just wondering, like, when you're seeing that as a GM or something, like, does that, I mean, I know you've got all the confidence in the world in your manager, but does that kind of irk you off a little bit? Do you talk about that later on?
Yeah, you know what they are, Kelly? They're your assets. You have very few guys who are elite arms who you want to pitch the first few games of a playoff series. And, in reality, the pitching coach and the pitching coaches up and down your system are keepers of assets for you. And you want them to a point where they stay healthy, they stay productive. And Kelly, if you're a good front office person, you have an open discussion with your field staff about what's expected. I look back in the World Series a few years ago, Kevin Cash of the Rays took out his starting pitcher in a tie game in an elite part of the ball game. But he took him out because as an organization, their philosophy was a pitch count of X gets him out of the game. And he took all the heat. He took all the questions. And what he was really doing is speaking on behalf of the organization. But Kelly, just think about it. You're in the dugout. You got a chance to win the ball game. And you're thinking to yourself, if I don't win this game, I don't know if I'm going to be the pitching coach here much longer. Right. I don't know if I'm going to be the manager much longer. So there's a tug of war, both mentally and strategically, that goes on. And if you don't talk about it as a general manager, you're going to end up firing a lot of people before your career is over.
Well, great stuff, man. I know that George probably wants to get back in here, but I appreciate all those questions. I know I come out from left field a lot of times, but just a little story that we had. We were playing travel ball, and I forget what age my son was, but we were in the bottom of the seventh, and we got bases loaded with no outs. Now, you never see this, okay? We got bases loaded with no outs, and we're in the championship game. And the head coach, which I wasn't the head coach, I was just the assistant, but the head coach was one of my good friends. 13 straight curveballs from a kid. and we got out of that inning with no runs scored, and we went to the next inning and won the game. But you never see that. And I felt bad when we both felt bad. We talked about it afterwards. We both felt bad about it. But now the kid's he's pitching in college. So it's,
yeah. Kelly, I'm not a big fan of playing miss the bat.
Yeah.
Miss the bat for me is kind of chicken. You know what? Baseball, put the ball in play, throw to the bat, attack the bat, get on the inside part. And college and high school pitchers, many times, they get messed up by their coaches and because they play a more passive, avoid the bat game. But I hear what you're talking about. All those curveballs, it enhances your chances of getting a guy out. But what it really does is the kid's got to get people out with his fastball, or else his curveball's not going to be his best fit.
His fastball was really good. I mean, he's pitching in college now, so I was, I felt better about that. But he's one of those kids that grew a bunch, so he's a big kid. So it was funny to watch that. But I mean, we got 3 outs when we had bases loaded with no outs, which was crazy. I've never seen that happen to this day again at the age we were at.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I bet the kid remembers it. The kid at the plate, and the kid
I guarantee you, they all
sit on the mound, and they remember how they did it. That's a really important lesson to learn.
Well, I appreciate it, Danny.
Danny, really quickly, I have a question about the college draft, high school draft as well for MLB. We kind of talked about it recently. Can you walk us into the war room and put your GM hat back on for us? What it's like when you're trying to decide between drafting maybe a college junior or a high school senior, and particularly in the first round with the slot value and the money you're assigned. AJ Preller of the Padres has really valued recently drafting high school kids in the first round. Ryan Weathers, Robert Hassel here from Tennessee, kind of just walk through the process. Do you say that early, we're going to target a high school kid, or is it really down to the wire with making that selection?
Super question. AJ Preller is one of my proteges. He started out his career working with me at the Dodgers. So I know where he got the high school idea because you're talking to somebody who's a big high school guy. But here's what I did, and everybody's got a different philosophy. It's supply and demand. The guys with elite arms out of the high school level, if you don't sign them early and draft them early, they're going to go to school. And they're going to go to school, and they're going to come out 3 years later a better guy, a little more physically superior, and they're going to go early in the draft. So it's really, for me, supply and demand. I'm taking the best arms I possibly can early in the draft. I didn't worry about high school kids if, and a big if they had the maturity and the repertoire to get through the pro game early in their pro career. If you've relied on your fastball almost exclusively in high school, and you haven't really developed a changeup and a breaking pitch, it's really hard to pitch at the pro game for the first couple of years because they're going to turn around your fastball regardless of how hard they throw. These are the best players in the world. And as a result, you've got to have a repertoire that gets you through 5 to 6 innings. For me, that's the litmus test. If they can, heck yeah, I'll take high school kids all the time. I took high school kids in the first round frequently, in the second, third round frequently. But here's the problem. The maturity level has got to come with the physical level. And if it doesn't, you're better off the young man goes to college and comes out 3 years later with a better chance to compete, not only in the game, but in the game of life.
During the draft, we hear the word signability a lot when it comes to high school kids. How hard is it to navigate talking to the agent, talking to the kid, particularly in that first and second round range about, money, and they can turn it down and go to college?
Well, and it's on both sides of the coin. The advisor, the agent, the player, the player's family, and the club. If everybody communicates well and has good background information, your awareness of where that individual should go is pretty clear. If he stays healthy, he'll probably go somewhere around here. But there's always parents and families, kids and agents that don't do their homework as well as they should. They have unrealistic expectations. And many times that puts the player in a spot where he almost has to go to school and can't sign out of high school. But it's an amazing process. And that's where the area scout is the most important part of the equation, balancing both sides and projecting the player.
Danny, I don't know if you got to the fun thing you wanted to share. If you haven't, have at it.
I didn't, George. I tell you, I just wanted to say we had a terrific first tournament weekend, but it was highlighted by a baseball card show at the Field of Dreams. And I know you've got a great sponsor there who does cards.
Yeah.
We had 60 vendors selling. I got to see a Musial rookie card, a Mantle rookie card, a Mays, a Clemente rookie card.
Oh, wow.
And we had some elite vendors from all over the country. And I was like a kid in a candy store. Kathy was laughing at me because the inner geek in me really surfaced, George. But we're going to do that a few more times. And I'll tell you what, it was so much fun to see cards of that magnitude, huge dollar cards at the Field of Dreams over the weekend.
That is awesome. Great story. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for coming on as always, Danny.
You got it, George. And good luck to your Bravos this weekend against the D-backs.
They're going to need it. Okay.
I love it.
My thanks to Danny Evans for joining us. We're going to go to the break, and then when we come back, it's Plaster's Bet of the Day, and this just in, I need a win.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Welcome back in. It is time for Placer's Bet of the Day on a Thursday, presented to you by Bart Durham Injury Law Firm. They are, simply put, the best in the business. They are lawyers you can trust. So give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. Before we get to tonight's bets, we'll go back to last night. George went north of the border.
Oh, God.
For a loss.
Yes. I totally got hosed on it. Julio Teheran has now pitched 2 really good games in a row. You know, I thought the guy was out of baseball 3 weeks ago. Turns out he had been in El Paso and asked for his release. I want to say El Paso's a San Diego minor league team, AAA, and Milwaukee snapped him up. And he had a performance a week ago, a 5-inning shutout ball against the Giants. Last night, I think it was 6 innings, 1 run. Julio Teheran is cramming it down my throat, and good for him. I'm happy for him. Former Brave.
You sounded very confident yesterday when you made your pick.
I know.
You had me sold.
Well, watch this one. So tonight, the NBA Finals begin. And I think Vegas has really disrespected the Miami Heat with the line that they have put out, which is Denver by 9. Mm-hmm. First of all, Miami's better than that. I mean, it's time for us to admit that the Miami Heat are for real. That's the first thing. The second thing is Denver will have had about a 9-10 day layoff, which in my mind is about 5 days too long. I kind of expect they're going to have rust early. Now, Denver's going to have their moments. Jokic is going to do just fine because nobody else has stopped him. Why would Bam Adebayo? Don't know. Don't think he's going to stop him, and that's in Denver's favor. I just think Miami's going to cover. I don't think they're going to win outright, but I don't think they're going to lose by 9. Kelly, do you have an opinion?
Oh, you know I've got an opinion, George.
Yeah,
I actually think that's a pretty good pick. I really do. I think you're right. Miami's there for a reason. Denver's really good, though. We'll see if they're sluggish or not. I don't think so. You get Jamal Murray heated up and all those guys that are situational players. They can shoot the 3 ball. They can get it into Jokic. So I think they win, but I think you've got a good pick there. I think they'll cover.
God knows I need a win. Kelly, you have a good weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday.
I appreciate it, George. And Jason, do not be ashamed to throw George out if he's staying around too long, because he'll mooch off of you a little bit, okay?
I appreciate the heads up. Thank you.
Absolutely, because he'll try to stay too long, so just get him out.
He's always so positive. Kelly, good luck to you in the industry.
See ya.
So, Jason, we've got the ribbon cutting, in a little more than an hour?
5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, we'll have a reception and ceremony. We've got some state reps coming and some Metro Council members.
So I better be on my best behavior.
Well, the client, the reputation will go up. That's for sure once they get here. Lend a little credibility to this operation.
It's needed, isn't it?
That's right. And then we'll open until 10 tonight. Feel free to come on down. We've got our bays open for some free golf time. We just want everybody to experience it for the grand opening. We're going to have a lot of fun. We've got food and drinks for everybody. So if you don't have plans tonight, come on out.
Absolutely.
Should be a good crowd.
And then this weekend, you're open when?
So tomorrow is day 1. Tomorrow is the first real day of normal operations. We're open until 10 o'clock tomorrow night. And then Saturday, we're 9 to 11, 9 in the morning to 11 at night. And Sunday hours are noon to 6. So
okay.
We are looking forward to getting running here.
Excellent. Listen, continued success. It looks like you're off to a great start. People are having fun. And I know you're going to do great with this.
Well, I appreciate that. I've never worried about the technology and the fun factor. If people come out, I might screw things up, but the bays are fantastic.
Yeah.
And you'll have a good time. If you're a golfer, you'll have a blast.
Absolutely. Listen, tomorrow on the show, we'll get some reports on the regional down at Vandy. The game that will be going on while we're on the air is Xavier and Oregon, and that might be a terrific game. And we've got other things planned, so please do join us. Thanks to all of you, and thanks to the folks at X Golf for making us feel so welcome. We will see you tomorrow. Go Heat.